The story begins in 1991. A large corn factory stands tall, surrounded by an endless stretch of golden cornfields. Inside the factory, a group of children are celebrating. Laughter echoes through the halls as they enjoy a party filled with music and games. During the festivities, a curious girl stumbles upon an old dusty clown box tucked away in a corner. Intrigued, she begins to turn its handle. Suddenly, the clown figure pops out with a jolt, startling her. She quickly tosses the box aside and wanders out into the cornfield, a little shaken. Moments later, her friend notices she's missing and follows her into the field. But what he sees shocks him. The girl is in distress, looking pale and confused. Before he can react, a clown figure emerges silently from the rows of corn behind him. The screen fades to black as a sudden attack takes place, leaving the viewer in suspense. Later, we see the boy's lifeless body eerily hanging above the cornfield, signaling that something truly sinister has awakened. The story jumps to 1 year later. A girl named Queen moves into the same town with her father, hoping for a new beginning. They've left behind painful memories, and this quiet place seems like the perfect chance for a fresh start. But directly across from their new home is the old corn factory, now burned, abandoned, and cloaked in silence. Queen can't help but feel uneasy. Despite the strange atmosphere, Queen begins attending the local school. She tells her father about a boy named Ron who had visited earlier. He introduced himself as their neighbor and offered help if they ever needed anything. Appreciating the kindness, Queen's dad asks Ron to guide Queen to school. Ron turns out to be in the same school as Queen. As they walk, he tells her that the corn factory caught fire just a month ago. The blaze devastated the area. The cornfield was the main livelihood for many families in the town. While they talk, a flashy car zooms past them. Ron points toward it and explains that it belongs to Cole and his gang. At school, Queen is surprised to find out that she shares a class with Cole. That very day, Cole and his friends pull a prank on a teacher by printing silly posters and sticking them to everyone's assignments, turning the entire class into chaos. The teacher, embarrassed and upset, punishes the whole class, including Queen, even though it's her first day. After class, Queen confronts Cole and his friends, asking why they mocked the teacher. Cole responds that it wasn't just for fun. That particular teacher had a reputation for unfairly picking on students, and they were just giving him a taste of his own medicine. Shifting the topic, Queen asks about the upcoming spring celebration. She's heard it's a big deal in town. Cole proudly tells her that the festival was started by his father, the town's mayor. Spring Day is only a few days away. On that day, everyone dresses up as clowns and celebrates with music, games, and traditional corn-based food. Later, one of Cole's friends excitedly shows the group a video he had uploaded on YouTube. It was a staged horror prank shot during last year's Spring Day Festival. In the video, one of their friends pretends to be terrified as a clown chases him through the cornfield. Eventually, the clown catches him, and the video ends with a dramatic scene that looks like an attack. It was all acted out, but it looked so real that it quickly went viral, earning the channel over 65,000 subscribers. Sometime later, Queen and her dad visit a cozy local cafe. While they sit and chat, Queen starts to notice something strange. The older residents of the town don't seem too friendly toward the younger crowd. The cafe owner speaks politely to her father. After a while, the cafe's chef quietly approaches Queen's father. He leans in and warns him not to let Queen spend time with Cole and his friends. They're always up to mischief. Later that evening, Queen meets up with Cole and his group at the abandoned corn factory. They're gathered there for a small party. While chatting, Queen mentions that her dad told her the sheriff believes Cole and his friends are somehow connected to the factory, like they run the place now. Cole laughs it off, saying it's not true. "We just hang out here sometimes," he explains. "People love to exaggerate." As the evening rolls on, one of the boys heads off to the washroom. A few minutes later, he returns in rough shape, limping, smeared with fake blood, and claiming he's been attacked. He stumbles dramatically and collapses in front of them. Queen gasps and prepares to run, but suddenly everyone bursts out laughing. One of the friends reveals a hidden camera and says it was all just a prank. They were recording Queen's reaction for a new video. Even Cole looks surprised at how far things went. Realizing Queen is visibly shaken, he steps in and sincerely apologizes. Trying to stay composed, Queen says it's okay and suggests they keep things lighthearted. She does her best to laugh it off, though she's still clearly disturbed. As the group settles down, Queen slowly opens up about her past. She talks about losing her mother and how it led her and her dad to move here. Cole grows quiet and tells her that his sister passed away in a similar way, something he hasn't shared with many people. The mood softens. For a moment, it feels like two strangers connecting over shared pain. Later that night, Queen returns home. Her dad is furious, not just because she went out with Cole after being warned, but also because the school had already contacted him about the incident. Queen had tried to keep it from him, but the truth had come out. After a long scolding, Queen heads to her room and breaks down in tears. She feels misunderstood and overwhelmed. Just then, her phone buzzes. It's a message from one of Cole's friends, the same prank video they recorded earlier. But as Queen watches it again, something catches her eye. In the part where the boy is getting dressed as a clown for the prank, there's a blink and you miss it moment. A shadowy figure in the background. For just a second, it looks like a real clown, someone none of them had invited, and then it disappears. Queen freezes. This wasn't part of the plan. Queen immediately messages Cole's friend, asking him to rewatch the clip. Curious and a bit unnerved, he opens it again and scans the background closely. His expression shifts to concern. He sees it too, a figure that wasn't supposed to be there. Just then, his doorbell rings. He walks to the front door, opens it, and finds no one, only a small gift box placed carefully on the doorstep. Confused, he brings it inside and opens it. A toy clown pops up, spring-loaded, startling him. He lets out a nervous laugh. But the mood shifts quickly. In the reflection of the window behind him, a real clown standing inside the house. Before he can react, the screen cuts to black, leaving only the echo of his startled gasp. The next morning, we find Cole being sternly confronted by his father, the town's mayor. The mayor is furious over the incident at school. Cole defends himself, insisting that the teacher had it out for him. But his father explains that the teacher's brother had died in a fire at the old corn factory, a tragedy the whole town remembers. His behavior may not be fair, the mayor says, but that doesn't excuse yours. Frustrated and feeling misunderstood, Cole storms off. That same day was the much-anticipated Spring Day celebration. The town was alive with color and music. People dressed in costumes, the streets were decorated, and Queen was especially excited. With her camera in hand, she wanted to capture every moment. At the festival, Cole hoisted Queen onto his shoulders so she could get a better view of the crowd. His friends fanned out, filming from different angles, ready to make the most of the day. Street performers, including a boy dressed as a clown, entertained the crowd. But then, something went wrong. An object, maybe part of a stunt or stage effect, accidentally launched into the model cornfield. It triggered a sudden burst of flames. The display caught fire, quickly spreading. The large clown figure began to sway, and then crashed to the ground, shattering in front of the crowd. Panic followed. People screamed and scattered. The joyful celebration turned into chaos as security and emergency crews rushed in. The mayor, furious at the destruction and public disturbance, demanded answers. Though Cole and his friends had nothing to do with the mishap, their reputation for pranks made them an easy target. The police, assuming it was another stunt gone wrong, detained them immediately. The next day, Queen found herself behind bars, her first full day in the new town. Her father rushed to the station, furious and humiliated. He didn't give her a chance to explain. "This is what you came here for," he snapped, his voice full of disappointment. Ironically, he had planned to surprise her with a car, but after the arrest, he told her coldly that she'd have to earn it back. On their way to the party, Cole and Queen run into her neighbor, Ron, who appears to be returning from a hunting trip. Ron smiles and says he'll stop by after dinner. The party itself is already in full swing. Music blares, lights flash, and the energy is high. Nearly every student from their school is there, dancing, laughing, and recording clips on their phones. Queen, for the first time in a while, actually feels happy. Just another teenager having fun. But something feels off. Two members of Cole's group hadn't shown up. Some students noticed and asked around, but most just assumed they were busy or late. From the edge of the cornfield, someone stumbles out. A girl covered in dirt and what looks like blood. She falls forward onto the grass and lies still. Everyone freezes. Then, a second object is thrown from the shadows. Something that looks horrifyingly real. It's a head. The crowd gasps, then goes quiet. For a moment, they believe it's part of a prank. Another over-the-top video setup. But Queen, alarmed, rushes forward. She kneels next to the girl and checks her breathing. Nothing. She looks at the object on the ground. Her expression changes. "This is real," she says, her voice trembling. Suddenly, the real threat emerges. A clown steps out of the cornfield, the same eerie figure that's been stalking their group. Holding a bow, he raises it and, without warning, fires. One of the girls collapses, struck. The chaos explodes. Screams tear through the night. Students scatter in every direction, running for cover. Some trip. Others cry out for help. The party turns into a nightmare. A group of kids rush into the house and lock the doors behind them. But Queen is still outside, frozen in terror, as the clown stalks her through the dark. Just when it seems like there's no escape, a loud bang echoes through the air. Ron appears, shotgun in hand. He fires again, hitting the clown and forcing him to the ground. Queen runs to him, shaking and breathless. For a moment, it feels like the danger has passed. But then, from the cornfield, more shapes emerge. Not one, not two, but 8, maybe 10 more clowns, all moving slowly, ominously in the darkness. It's enough to buy a few seconds. "Run!" he shouts. They sprint toward an old storage building nearby. Cole throws the door open and everyone piles in. Inside, the group huddles together, breathing heavily, trying to calm their racing hearts. Ron checks his weapon and frowns. "We've got 3 shots left," he says grimly. Tension fills the room. No one speaks for a moment. Suddenly, a bang at the door. 2 clowns have found them. Ron doesn't hesitate. He raises the gun and fires twice in quick succession. The door holds, and silence returns. But the relief doesn't last. Cole turns to Ron, furious. "Why did you use both?" "We only had 3, Ron snaps back. "Would you rather I let them break in?" Meanwhile, back at Queen's house, her father opens her bedroom door. The light is still on, but the bed is empty. His heart sinks. That morning, he had shouted at her. Now regret begins to creep in. He stands silently in the doorway for a moment, guilt and worry mixing in his mind. Then, without another word, he turns and leaves, joining others in the search for her across the city. Amid the heated argument in the storeroom, while searching for an escape route, the group stumbled upon 2 old gas cylinders stored behind some crates. An idea sparked. If they could lure the clowns into the storeroom and set off a controlled explosion, it might buy them just enough time to escape. They quickly got to work. Cole took the lead, guiding the girls into the crawl space. Meanwhile, Ron stayed back. He twisted the valve on the gas cylinder and struck a lighter, waiting for the right moment. Then, just as the last girl disappeared into the tunnel, he dove in after them, and a muffled blast shook the ground behind them. The clowns had been hit, disoriented, maybe even injured, but the group didn't stop to look back. They crawled through the dark, breathless and exhausted, until they finally emerged behind a line of trees near the road. Relief was short-lived. A police sheriff's car pulled up nearby, and for a moment they thought they were saved. But the sheriff stepped out, spotted Ron with the shotgun, and without asking questions, arrested him on the spot. The kids tried to explain. The clowns, the attacks, everything. But the sheriff wouldn't hear it. Ron was taken away, leaving the girls stranded. They needed a ride home. The only car available was still parked near the party house, dangerously close to the cornfield. Knowing the risk but seeing no other option, they decided to go back. As they entered the cornfield, rustling sounds grew louder around them. The clowns were already there. One of the clowns came close, too close, and reached out, grabbing one of the girls by the arm. Before panic could take over, Queen struck. A quick, precise elbow to the clown's face sent him stumbling back. It was just enough. They ran, dodging branches and shadows. But not everyone made it clean. One of the girls was pulled back in the chaos. The others screamed, but they couldn't stop. They pushed forward, finally bursting out of the cornfield and running straight into the nearest house. The door was unlocked. They rushed inside and bolted it shut. But this house was no sanctuary. The air felt thick. The place was silent, too silent. As they looked around, an unsettling realization took hold. The walls were covered, floor to ceiling, in clown-themed photos, newspaper clippings, and hand-drawn sketches. Some of the clippings detailed old unsolved murders, but the most chilling part, there were recent photographs of their group. Someone had been watching them. In one corner, they found a toy box, brightly colored and covered in stars. Curious and cautious, they opened it. A jack-in-the-box popped out, harmless enough. But just behind it, a hidden door creaked open. A figure lunged from the shadows, a clown. One of Queen's friends was injured in the attack. Acting on instinct, Queen grabbed the dropped blade, turned it around, and fought back. The clown collapsed, and the room went quiet again. Meanwhile, at a nearby hospital, Queen's father was tending to late-night emergencies when two masked individuals barged in. One of them was clearly wounded, an arm wrapped tightly, possibly injured during a fight. They forced the doctor to help, warning him to stay silent. Queen's father, always sharp, nodded calmly and began the treatment. But as he worked, he used the moment to his advantage. Then, when the timing was right, he grabbed the closest medical tool and struck, disabling the masked man and locking the door behind him. He didn't know exactly what was happening out there, but one thing was clear. His daughter was in danger. Meanwhile, Queen had found a car near the edge of the field. Just as she got inside and started the engine, figures emerged from the shadows. The clowns surrounded her, pulled her out, and dragged her away. Before she could resist, she was locked inside a dark storeroom. One of the clowns stepped forward and removed his mask. Queen's eyes widened. It was the sheriff. Then, one by one, the others revealed themselves. The cafe owner, the mall manager, people Queen and her friends saw every day in town. Shocked, Queen asked, "Why are you doing this?" "You're supposed to protect us," a voice echoed from above. The mayor stepped into the light, his expression calm but chilling. "This is our spring day tradition," he said with a smile. "Every year we eliminate the chaos makers. This year, your group caused the most trouble." Queen's heart pounded. Then her eyes shifted, and she saw Cole. He was barely conscious, suspended above the ground on a fragile wooden plank. "How can you do this to your own son?" Queen shouted. The mayor's face darkened. "Because of him, I lost my daughter. He knew she was using drugs and never told me. That's how I lost her." His voice was low and bitter. "And yes, I burned down the coin factory for the insurance. I blamed it on your group. It was easy." Cole, stunned, shouted, "You're the real criminal." The mayor raised his hand. "End this," he ordered. Just then, chaos erupted. A car crashed through the scene, headlights blazing. It was Queen's dad. He drove straight into the platform, knocking it down and freeing Cole. Then he leapt out and tackled two of the masked figures, fighting with fierce determination. Queen, having found a way to free herself during the confusion, joined the fight to protect her father. The sheriff, recovering from the shock, raised his weapon, aiming at Queen's dad. But Queen appeared just in time, grabbing the sheriff's attention and forcing him to flee into the building. He entered a room filled with costumes and props, rows of clown outfits hanging on racks. Then he saw something, a pair of shoes sticking out beneath a costume. Thinking it was Queen hiding, he charged forward, only to discover it was a decoy. From behind, Queen stepped out silently. Without hesitation, she held up a taser and activated it, delivering a sharp jolt that dropped the sheriff instantly. It was over. Outside, another car pulled up. Sheriff Ron had returned. He took aim and fired, hitting the rope that had held Cole. Cole landed safely and ran to help. With the remaining attackers dealt with, Queen rushed into her father's arms. Tears and relief washed over her. Nearby, they spotted a parked car. It was their chance to finally escape. Queen ran to the driver's seat, but paused. She'd never driven before. Her father smiled and calmly guided her. "You've got this." Just as they were about to leave, the mayor appeared, the last one standing. He stepped into their path, holding a heavy chain and blocking their way. Queen stared at him, steady and unafraid. Then, without blinking, she pressed down on the accelerator. The car surged forward. The mayor was thrown aside. The path was clear. They drove off, away from the field, away from the madness, toward the city, and a new beginning. Post-credit scene. 1 year later, Queen's father is now running for mayor, determined to bring real justice and hope to the town. Queen, stronger than ever, is preparing to leave for university in another city. Ron and Cole visit to say goodbye. As a parting gift, they hand Queen a taser. a reminder of the nightmare they survived and the strength she found within. Queen smiles, places it in her bag, and gets into her car. As she drives away, something catches her eye on the passenger seat. A small clown jack-in-the-box. She narrows her eyes, grabs it calmly, and tosses it out the window without a word. The camera pulls back, showing the box lying still on the road as Queen disappears into the distance. The screen fades to black. Thank you for watching.